Hey, good evening, everybody. It is July 1st, and this is video number 31 of 90. Um, Today somebody was asking me about my weight loss journey back in 2017 and, if I recorded any of that, and I did. I actually wrote something every day. It was a public journey that was a little scary at first, but really gave me a lot of momentum. For those of you that don't know my story, I post this in every video, but I always give you context of who I am. My name's Alan Thomas. In 2017, I reached 304 pounds and was 55 years old and just knew that I had less than 10 years to live if I didn't do something about it. I committed publicly to losing 129 pounds in 265 days. I hit it 5 days early, hit it on the 260th day, but I decided to pull up a random post that I made, something that I wrote that I journaled about along the journey, and just to give you a little context of what happened. Now this was 30 days into it, and here's some extra. I won't read the whole thing, but because it's pretty lengthy, but. To think I'd let myself, an average frame man, 5 feet 11 inches tall, get to a mammoth 304 pounds. And even though anyone that looked at me could see that I was fat, somehow admitting it to the world with a picture of my scales would be like admitting something that everyone already knew. I could run from it, but there was no way to hide 129 pounds of fat. But really, the real hesitation was, what if I failed and remained fat? What a bigger fool I would be. But I had to really dig deeper. If I admitted this daily, I would have to give up this love affair with food once and for all. That's really the question, isn't it? What was I, or maybe what are you willing to do to lose the weight? I'm done with looking around the room to see who's fatter than me so that I can eat one more bite that I don't need or really want. I know you probably don't have 129 pounds of fat to lose, but guess what? I didn't either in the beginning. It was 5 pounds here, 10 pounds there, and then pretty soon 50 pounds, 60 pounds, and then over 100 pounds. I will get to 175 pounds and I will be healthy again. Will you? It's interesting, I was writing that. I had no idea I'd be doing what I'm doing today. It's just funny reading that, because I go back and look at some of these entries, and it's interesting because it's the obvious. Admitting the obvious is the hardest thing to do. So many of us, including me, I would look around and see who was fatter than me when I'd go in a restaurant, or I'd be somewhere, just to make myself feel a little bit better. Comparison a lot of times is the seed of discontent. In my case, is how I normalized my weight, my obesity. It's not hard that you can go anywhere, and 40% of the population is obese, or a big percentage that is morbidly obese, like I was. So, if you're thinking that nobody knows, guys, they know. If you're thinking that it's not affecting other areas of your life, it is. If you think that you can't get the weight off, you can. I promise you can. This is something that, this mindset of I failed once, I failed again, and you're just unwilling to try. And at some point, we all kind of run out of that steam and just don't believe that it's possible. I'm going to keep this Facebook live a little bit shorter, because I want you to really resonate on what is reality. Are you really, really believing that there's no way to get the weight off? Really? But every day. Are you believing that just because you failed, 20 times, that you can't get your weight off? I did. Maybe 100 times, seriously, maybe 150 times. I failed on the weight loss plan I was using. I failed on it probably 5 or 6 times, 4, 5, 6. I don't know. I didn't count it, but it was just another stack of failures. But the only one that really counts is the one that you'll done with. And if it was just the diet, if it was just the eating plan, that strategy, wouldn't everybody already be thin, fatter and fatter? I'll never forget, one time about 10 years ago, and this just came to mind. It was probably about 10 years ago, maybe 13 years ago, I think it was. I had some chest pains, and I was in my late 40s, and a morbidly obese guy gets chest pain, they send you to the doctor, and they send you to the hospital, the emergency room, and that's exactly what happened. I went to the emergency room. They kept me all day, and what was so, and it's sad, really. The doctor that was helping me, they ran all these tests. I was fine. It was just some sort of anxiety or something like that. And I ended up, the doctor who was helping me, she was fatter than me. The nurses that were helping me, they were fatter than me. And I say that respectfully because lots of nurses and doctors are very healthy. I don't mean to put that on the whole medical community. But they were telling me, oh, you need to eat better. So isn't it kind of hard to take advice from that? And I'm thinking, well, how's that working for you, is what I was thinking. And then I'll never forget, they didn't want to release me because they were busy. And I walked outside. I said, I'm done being here. They've been poking and prodding me all day. And the nurses weren't able to, they were eating their supper, and they were eating a big Chinese meal out there at the nurse's desk, and they don't want to fill out paperwork. And so I just said, see, and I walked out. So I don't see any of that to be rude to medical professionals. Please don't send me messages about how mean I am to medical professionals. I appreciate everything they do. I know they're under a lot of stress. But, if the medical community had all the answers, we'd all be thin. If the diet industry had the answers, we'd all be thin. So maybe it's time you rethought this whole process. Listen, if you want to have an honest conversation about your weight, and you're morbidly obese or obese and just don't feel like you have any control, reach out to me. Go to www.transformmyfuture.com/apply, book a breakthrough session with me, and let's have a conversation. See what kind of strategy you can develop, because it's more than just the diet. It is more than just that. You've got to rethink the whole process. So, guys, we'll see you tomorrow night. Today is day number 31 of 90. Have a great evening.